Welcome to One on One with Expert Flyer. I'm your host, Lisa Caslin, and today we're chatting with Katie Denis. She is the Senior Director for Project Time Off, a national movement born out of the U.S. Travel Association. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we have a lot to talk about in a short time, and you helped us recently with a survey that that we did with our subscribers. And I'll just say before we get into all of this that obviously Expert Flyer subscribers are not the general population, and they are probably among the most frequently traveled and vacationing portion of the world. But what I found interesting was obviously 81% of them said that they think vacations are very important, but over 85% of them said that they take at least 2 vacations, if not more, a year. And I wondered, that sounds great, but your data is far bleaker than that, right?
So I'm glad to hear that. That was one of my favorite things that I've seen. You've got a great population of people. Generally, most Americans are not taking all their vacation time. 55% of them left time on the table last year to the tune of 658 million unused days. It is literally crazy. That's 1.8 million years if you want to break it down. So that literally puts us to the time before humans. It's like it's crazy. Right? It's the era of Homo erectus. So, and this is 1 year. So I'm glad to see so many of your readership and followership is actually taking their time off. I can guarantee you they are probably better performers at work. They're viewed more positively. I bet they're more creative, more innovative, and more productive overall, because that's certainly what our research finds. Keep it up.
Yeah. Well, that's something else I wanted to talk to you about. We asked them what they thought the biggest benefits of travel were, and the top 3 responses were, exposure to beauty, culture, new people, increased energy and excitement, and of course, stress relief. What are the other benefits that are external benefits? So employers, what are they seeing in the workplace as a result of having a workforce that takes time off?
Well, we're an innovation-based economy, so we really do rely on new ideas to drive the U.S. forward. And I think we have all these concepts that we try. There's entrepreneur in residence programs, there's nap pods, there's, free coffee. It can be simple, it can be complex. One of the easiest things business can do is encourage the vacation policy you already have on your books. Just talking about it is free, it's simple, but a lot of us don't do it. 2/3 of employees say, I don't really hear much of anything about vacation from my employer. So if we can just start that conversation, the benefits are massive. Higher productivity, increased innovation and creativity, better overall performance, and then retention. I mean, everyone understands the importance of retention and the cost of replacing a new employee. The Society for Human Resource Management puts it at about 6 to 9 months salary to replace an employee. That's the cost of it. So if your bottom line is definitely affected by the intangibles like the innovation productivity elements, but also by the very tangible things when it comes to the cost of retaining an employee.
Mm-hmm. So I know that you've done a brand new research study, right? Hot off the presses. And one of the questions that I had was regarding millennials. I think many of us that are a little older than millennials feel that they are not necessarily driven by the same kinds of things that we were driven by, not necessarily always about money. That time off seems to be something of great importance to millennials. Do you think that they're driving a cultural shift in terms of prioritizing time off in the workplace?
I actually think it's quite the opposite. I do think they value work-life balance, and I read a lot of external studies in preparation for working on this one, and it does seem work-life balance is really important to them. Vacation is not a factor in their work-life balance equation, is what we're finding. They are actually the most likely to forfeit vacation time, and I mean forfeit, not you can't roll it over, you can't bank it, you can't be paid out for it. It's really just lost, even though they get the least amount of time. So percentage-wise, that's a really big difference. They are the most likely to feel the pressures that, I don't want to be seen as replaceable. No one else can do the job. I'm afraid of what my boss might think. I feel guilty. They're more susceptible to that. And when you think about the conditions they entered the workforce, it makes a lot of sense. Many of them, the large swath of that generation, came in during a rough economy. Even if it wasn't smack dab in the middle of the recession, the after effects of that have lingered for a long time. So once they got a job, they were holding on to it. They were going to keep it, and they were going to prove their worth through FaceTime. And FaceTime is a little bit different for millennials. They're much more likely to stay connected, whether even if they are taking time off. And when they do take time off and they stay connected, they say that they feel less productive when they return. So they're not really getting that break to reset. So we're really not seeing that millennials are fitting that kind of entitled, spoiled stereotype that we're very familiar with. What we're finding is that they want to show what they perceive as this total dedication, but it's actually hurting them. The people who take more time versus less are more time is actually more likely to get a raise or bonus. That's what we found. So the people who reported receiving a raise or bonus in the last 3 years, if you took 11 more days or 11 or more days, you were much more likely to receive that versus people who took 10 or fewer days. So more vacation can actually yield more results, which is great. But I think for those people who think the more days I can log, that my attendance record shows my value, first of all, it might not actually be noticed at all. Second of all, you could actually be hurting your value.
Wow, that is really interesting. So what is your advice? What do you tell an employee that may be intimidated or feel this pressure? And they may be putting it on themselves, granted, but there's got to be a way for them to counter this in some way in the workforce. What's the advice that you give them when they're feeling this pressure not to take the vacation?
So the greatest amount of pressure is certainly the pressure we put on ourselves. It's far greater than the pressure we feel from others. And then again, 2/3 of people don't really hear anything. So we're kind of filling that vacuum with our own fears and anxieties. And that's kind of how we've decided to approach things. Because we're not asking the question. I think if employees ask the question, hey, I think I'm going to take some time off. How does that sound? Does this timing work? It's going to be really fun. It's going to be great. I'm excited about it. They would be surprised that most managers we talk to understand the benefits of time off. They know it's good for their employees as individuals. They also know it's good for their teams. And that's something that really comes through is they want a really positive team culture. We've all worked with that person who needs a break, right? You're kind of walking on eggshells around them. You're afraid to bother them. That is not productive. That is not good for the team. Make sure you're not that person and take a break, because I think that you will find managers are overwhelmingly supportive, but we don't ask the question and we don't talk about it in the workplace. So start the conversation. Don't be afraid.
Good advice. All right. So before I let you go, do you think that we will ever get to European standards when it comes to vacations?
Everyone always says, oh, we're not going to be France. That's not us. We don't need to be France. We actually can be the US just 15 years ago. This decline in vacation is a relatively recent phenomenon. We were very static from the 70s to about 2000. We took 20.3 days as a long-term average. In 2000 is when we started dropping off, and we've lost almost a week of vacation time in just 15 years. So let's get back to that, because that is a big change, a big shift. And going back to the millennial issue, that's the only world they've ever known, is that era of declining vacation usage. If that keeps up, it's just going to get worse, because they're cementing their habits now. This is when they're forming their traditions, their habits, the way they're going to approach the workplace. And they're increasingly becoming managers. We don't want managers who don't appreciate the value of vacation. So we need to start a conversation, and we need to do it now, because this has happened in short order, and I think we can get it back, but we got to make a change.
Oh, okay, scary. All right, thank you. This has been wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to add before we say goodbye?
Just take a day. It's great to do a week-long vacation. It's great to do something exotic and fun, but there's so much you can do that's so simple. I mean, take advantage of the last minute fair, take advantage of the national parks that most people live less than an hour from. Go see what's out there. It doesn't have to be a big ordeal. Just be advantageous of what you've got. Take your time.
Good advice. Thank you so much for joining us, Katie. Hope to have you back again sometime.
Great. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.